All right. Well, good evening to everybody on Facebook tonight. Thanks for joining in to another edition, the June edition of the Locker Room. And we are excited tonight to do this as we are celebrating the men this month. The title is called The King is Here. So we're going to celebrate the Kings tonight for the men that are out here really, really doing it for their families. They're out here building. They're in the trenches working, securing the absolute best and brightest future for their families, their children, their grandchildren, and their grandchildren. And so they're out here doing it big. And so we wanted to make sure that we took a moment this month to go ahead and highlight some men and show them some love and promote what they do to the masses so that people can not only support them, but they can continue to build as they have been building legacies. And so just want everybody to just go right ahead and go on and share this broadcast with as many people as you can. Just go right to the bottom, click the share button, and share this broadcast on your pages with all your friends and followers so they can jump on and be on with you to be here with us tonight. And so without further ado, I want to introduce my guest panelists tonight. I first want to start at the bottom to my right. If you're facing the screen, I met this brother actually for the first official time tonight. But I can tell you from just, watching his social media and seeing all of the people who are being helped. I've seen so many people who have just bought homes and they're homeowners and some of them have got one house and he got them to get another one. And so he is really out here pushing and promoting ownership and helping families to get into such a better position for themselves. And I tell you from what I've heard about him from people who know him, everybody says he's a great person to know, very down to earth. He will do all he can to try to help you to accomplish what you're trying to get. They say his integrity is impeccable, and I believe it. I believe it. His integrity is impeccable. He's a man of high character, and so I'm just glad that he accepted my invitation to be one of our guests tonight, to speak to you all as well as that we want to highlight. And so I want to introduce Mr. Carver Jarman III. How you doing, sir?
I'm good. I'm just glad to be here. All the accolades. Thank you so very much. Didn't know that was being spread out there, so I'm glad to hear that. But yeah, I'm just here to help. Like you said, create legacy, help families change the narrative, and that's all I want to do. So thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it. Also, just up above to my left, I believe you're looking at the screen. I've known this man for a very long time. I've always known him to be just a nice, great person, always has a smile for you, always has an encouraging word, powerful man of God. The man can preach, he can teach the word, he can share, always a great encourager, family man, a husband, and I appreciate everything that he has been and has and is to the city of Buffalo and to our community. And so happy for him that he is a full-fledged business owner, owning his own funeral home, which is absolutely amazing. So happy for him that he was able to do this. And God has tremendously blessed him, and God has tremendously blessed that business. And he's been faithful to the work, and he's been faithful to everything he's been called to. And so I just want to introduce He is also the pastor of the First Centennial Missionary Baptist Church. So I wanted to introduce to us Pastor Alan Core. Pastor, how are you?
Good evening, and I am doing fine and so grateful to just be a servant in the community and in this kingdom. I believe I was born to smile. So my mother would always say, any strangers, I'll speak to a light pole. So that's been my for my life. But thank you again for this opportunity.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And then last but not least, me and this guy, we have a history. We went to high school together. We played in the high school band together. And music has been a part of both of our lives for as long as I can remember. Will's just always been a great guy. Just always been a great guy. I personally have nothing bad to say about Will. I know a lot of people have said some things about him that weren't so good and weren't so great. However, the only thing I've always said is that, I don't know what Will you know, but I know the Will that I know. And the Will that I know is a great guy. He's talented. The Will that I know has character. The Will that I know is a hard worker. He goes hard at what he does. He works hard for his clients. He works hard at everything he does. He doesn't half do it. He does it to the fullest. And I appreciate us just being associated with him, with each other for as long as we have. I consider him to be a brother to me. We've had many conversations over the years about a lot of things, and we've had to encourage each other here and there. So I appreciate him being in my life, and Will is everywhere. He's all over Buffalo, doing shows, playing everywhere, playing out of town, doing shows. So Will is really, really doing it big. And so I just want to reintroduce to everybody again. You'll catch him. You'll see him somewhere this week. You're gonna see him playing somewhere this week, and you're gonna get some great music because he's truly a great artist. He's a great artist and producer at what he does, and he does it in excellence. And I appreciate that about him. So I just want to introduce my friend, my brother, my man, Will Holton. Will, what's up?
Hey, Blair. Thank you so much for having me a part of the locker room. We've known each other a long time. And I've seen you as well just blossom from being a drummer into becoming an awesome, phenomenal pianist and even more organist. And you've always been a real humble dude. And, man, thank you for having me. And I think today is going to be a very impactful locker room, as I think you have a collective board here of men that have been through and that have persevered, who have overcame, and our best days haven't even been seen yet. And I don't think that we'll be on this planet and it'll still be our best days, but we'll still keep pushing,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Appreciate it. So we're gonna go ahead and jump right on in. We're gonna jump right on into this. And I titled this, The King is Here. We're celebrating men building legacies. Because one of the things that is important to most men is what we leave behind. When we're gone, what we leave behind. And when we look at our lives, what have we done? What have we built? What have we built with, God's help or with the help of people around us? What have we built that we can leave, not as a monument to ourselves, but just as a legacy to say that, when, Blair left an impact, Will left an impact, Pastor Core left an impact that will last long after we're gone. And so what I want to do first off is I want to give each one of you guys a chance to just kind of share a little bit about not only what it is that you do, but how did you get started? what piqued your interest about the business that you got into, the business that you started? What really piqued your interest to get into that? And then how did you really get started? And even if it was something that you didn't want to do or had no interest in at first, how did you get to the lane that you're in? So I want to go ahead and start with Carver, then we'll go Pastor Core, and then we'll go to Will.
Okay. So I am a licensed real estate agent in the Buffalo area. I transitioned, that's the title they give us, the regular title, but I go as the landlord counselor, because my goal, and as I transition from making sales, is to making everyone a homeowner. So what happened, I really got into the business first personally. Like I just got into, my goal was to, sell my first home to myself. I wanted to be a homeowner. I wanted to live for free. So I said, let me do some research for my own personal. And then it turned into me sitting down with friends and family, just asking simple questions about why you haven't done this yet. And a lot of people didn't have real good reasons why they haven't owned a home or why they didn't start the process. So then that turned into a mission for myself to say, hey, let's help people cancel their landlords. Let's let them become owners, because a lot of people are not able to run a business, but this is a type of legacy everyone can do. If you own a home, this is where we can start with a little bit of legacy. We can start with this office. Let me leave this to my grandkids, to my kids. Everyone can't start a business, but everyone needs a home. So this is where I felt like, well, this is my impact. I can help change the narratives of some families of, hey, I don't want to rent. I don't want to do this because it's too much responsibility, and show that it's really easy, and it changed a lot of lives. So.
Awesome. Go ahead, Pastor Core.
Well, I started at the age of 14. I used to visit my granddad in Philadelphia, and there was a funeral home which still stands, Clyde C. Pelzer on 3rd and Christian in South Philly. He inspired me, as I wasn't licensed, but I had a desire to help people for funerals at the time. And he said, son, I think you should go to school because you have a personality that people can feel comforted by. So as I went to school at Simmons School of Mortuary Science in Syracuse, New York, and there I was able to graduate from there, pass the state board exam from New York State, passed the national board, and then I did my apprenticeship in Buffalo. Now this is how I really started, which was interesting. There was a place called St. Augustine Youth Work Experience where they would let you be tagged with a business where you could work in the business to get a familiarity of the business. They pay you one part and the people who employed you would get the other part. And so you were able to at least have hands-on experience. From that, the disappointment began. I took the board exam, failed by 1 point, and there, the director there at that point said to me, you should stick to preaching. I don't need anybody else to help me around here. I need somebody with a license. And so I use the word disappointment has pushed me to enjoy the new experience, the new open door. And with that, a woman heard about me who worked for what they called then Buffalo Place. And Buffalo Place was downtown. Her father-in-law was Ted Williamson in Niagara Falls, New York. I got an interview with him, and the rest is history. He has blessed me with many things, many nuggets of wisdom. And because of that, I'm in. So I want to say that my start came from disappointment. I pushed to really pursue this now because, as Brother Jarman said, I took a journey for myself. And I stuck to preaching. I got ordained, and I went back and got my license. But I'm grateful for Ted Williamson, and then later Thomas T. Edwards, who hired me along with his wife, Johanna Edwards. And so that's where my start began in the early 80s and 90s.
Wait, Will?
Oh, it was 1997. You always say we played in band together, but you were always 2 years ahead of me. I remember watching you play in band.
Yeah.
I was 1997, and I was everybody that knew me back then, I was heavily involved in JROTC, and I didn't get a promotion. And Colonel Unterweger, he didn't give me a promotion, and I was, on drill team without arms, drill team with arms, color guard commander. Went to Fort Dix, New Jersey, it's the freshman year. Did the summer camps, all that stuff. I was so heavily involved, and I was so involved in, as Bishop Sanders would say, the life of the church, not just being at the church, but a part of the life of the church. So I was around all these great musicians, and I was trying to sing in a choir. When I didn't get the promotion, I kind of got real jaded about ROTC because I wanted to go to senior ROTC at RIT for chaplain. And when I didn't get that promotion, I got real jaded. And all of a sudden, God said music, and saxophone specifically. Now, I told people this has like been 2 times in my life where I literally heard, you feel the presence of God, but literally hear God speak in your ear. One was when I was 17 and he said saxophone. I remember I told Brother Nate Salter, and he was like, man, you really, for real, Brother Will, you prayed about it? I said, God told me saxophone. And that was it. And my photography business, 2013, it was November 2012, and I asked my Powell, my godbrother Daniel Powell, his cousin, who was my photographer at the time. He shot everybody. Rachel Bunch McCarley, he shot so many people. Boney's the man. I said, Boney, I want to teach. Not teach, excuse me. I was teaching his son saxophone. I said, I want to learn how to shoot photography because I was getting sick and tired of hiring photographers, and then they would get ghost with my footage. And at that time, I was with Personas, I was with Warburton Music Products, I was with Eastman Music Instruments for saxophones and applied microphone technology. And YouTube wasn't really, it was popping, but it was not popping how it is now with reviewers or people who are endorsing products to get videos out there. So, the demand was high. We need people to talk about our product if you're with us. And they would leave. So I remember I said to Voni, and Voni gave me, he was the only brother, period, that has ever helped me, an African-American man or woman. He's the only one ever. He gave me a napkin at dinner, and he said, on that napkin was the exposure triangle. And he says, if you learn this, you'll be on your way. And in 2013, which was the next month, 2 months later, I was in St. Thomas with Najee, and I did my first little photos. I was doing photos, and I said I never wanted to be paid. Didn't want to make money. I just wanted to be able to shoot my videos of me playing, or get a remote trigger and shoot my own photos or whatever I need to do. So I always have fresh content. And then look, when our plan is one thing, but God's plan is a whole nother thing. So that's it.
Wow, that's great. To hear how you all got started and got on the path that you got on. And so my next question is how has the journey been? Since you started up until this point, what has the journey been? What are some of the challenges that you faced? That you had to overcome, whether it was external challenges or internal challenges. What were some of those things that you had to overcome that kind of kept you going, kept you in the fight? And we'll just kind of go reverse. So we'll start with Will, Pastor Core, and then we'll do Carver Jarman.
Woo. I mean, the challenges of not being accepted by your peers. And the thing about it, I hate to say it, but the gospel community was not really receptive to me and what I did. There was one person that, the church community, there was one person that was receptive. That was Chris Putman. Chris Putman was, if it wasn't for Chris starting out, because me and Blair, we didn't work together yet. Me and Blair didn't work together till years later. But in my first beginning years, is some of the most, and I'm 18 years old now. A year later, I'm 18 years old. I'm a grown man trying to embark on a musical journey. It's like a whole nother thing. I don't really know music. So Chris would encourage me, get your pen and paper, get your recorder, record things, learn your keys. I went to college at Villa Maria. I didn't graduate. They lost my tuition paperwork in the mail. They put me on the red list. I had to start paying to go to school and work a job at the same time. I was a jazz performance major, didn't graduate. And I think that also, if you fast forward, I worked for one of the pioneers of smooth jazz for 10 years, and he's still a great friend to this day. I met him in 2000, Najee. and I worked for him from 2005 to 2015. And we went through things, that really changed our dynamic of our relationship. And we both still love one another to this day, but that was like one of the hardest, and I think the other guys will be able to attest to this. The people who are probably your day ones, you go through the most with those people, they're still there in your life, but sometimes the dynamic changes because either you're going to evolve in a positive way, or you're going to really like digress. And thank God God put in me from seeing my parents and stuff, and seeing people like Blair and people like Eric Johnson and people like Nate Salter and all these different people who were in my beginning of my years, seeing them push through and in the gospel community. And number one, the one person, and I'm done, the one person who gave me the shot that I would least likely expect, who was on me and rode me and it was so tough to this day, is my number two. One was Chris Putman, but Chris was always for me, like nice. Ella E. Robinson. If it wasn't for Miss Ella Robinson, I wouldn't be who I am. I'll tell you, because she gave me an opportunity to record, and she was on me, and she taught me how to accompany a choir and different things like that. And those things in your beginning of whatever you're doing, learning how to accompany and learning how to not overplay. Those things are because sonically, saxophone and vocal are in a similar frequency. So either you're in the way or you're not. Either you're accompanying right or you're in the way. So anyway, that's basically it, man. I mean, I'm thankful for those people because that pushed me. I started playing, so we'll say 24 years now, and it's been great, man. It's been great. I learned so much more still to learn. It's every day is new. Every day is new for real.
Yeah. Go ahead, Pastor Core.
Well, I want to say I could concur with him in my field. I want to put a twist on it before I give you the meat of it. In my spiritual life, I was trained by my pastor, and he was teaching me that if you do this, son, the church is going to bless you. And then as I got older, I noticed that a lot of things the church never blessed me with. But I had a lot of experience from that, so that in role, now that I was disappointed in my spiritual life, that propelled me. So I use that as a tool, because now I go back to Ted Williamson. He said to me once, great man, gave me his history. He started in Buffalo himself, but he said there was too many African-American directors here at that time. Wardner Jones, Hubie Meadows, Sherman L. Walker, and the list goes on. He said, I'm going to go somewhere where there is no one like me. And so he chose to go to Niagara Falls, New York. And he said he didn't just go at that job. He dug ditches. He worked for the gas company. He opened up a line for insurance. But he told me, he said, Alan, listen to me. No one's going to give you anything. You got to work hard for it. But if you work hard for it, no one can take it from you. And so I'm almost in tears when I say this. Thank God for Ted Williamson Sr., who's gone to be with the Lord. But he was my pusher. He even to his day of death, his family is still in my life, very rich. My life was a myriad of things. I worked for Thomas T. Edwards. I worked for H. Alfred Lewis. Then I went on my own. Each of those moves were good moves. I learned a lot, but I also learned you can't put your trust in people because they'll tell you a lot of things which they got rich off of me, but at the end they turned around and didn't give me anything. And so at this last upset, I was pushed fast. I was in church preaching one year, and I said, I'm not going to be at this particular funeral home after this year. I'm just preaching prophetically. It sounded good to me. The day, a year later, I was preaching because that was the week that the man closed the door for me and said, you're on your own. I have nothing else for you. It didn't even give me a severance pay. I had a family. I had things to do. He just figured, well, since you're already pastoring, you're going to be fine. I immediately went over and got my not my DBA. I got my LLC, got everything situated. And from there, I worked with another company that called me out. I think we had Lombardo. And I used his building. That got rocky because he could understand how blessed I was just with a cell phone no building, no hearse, no limo. I had as much business as he had, and he had 3 buildings. So he was really, and within the space of the 2 years I was with him, this man went up on my lease 4 times, and he did it strategically to make me stop. Finally, he just put me out the building. I went over back to, I thought, my friend, and I'm not knocking him on the bus, but I went back to Thomas Edwards, and that got messy because he wanted me to work under him. And I had already established myself as my own person. And so I left him and went right back to where I began in Niagara Falls. I stayed there a year and a half. I walked around the building on Kensington. I had been told by the Lord 5 years before that I was going to have that building. Mr. Amagon at the time had it. The Lord saw fit. He had to sell it to somebody. And that somebody was looking for somebody to come in and just work out of the building. And I am that somebody. And I'm grateful because everyone that helped me as well as kicked me, now I'm blessed to say, like Ted Williamson said, when you work hard for what you get, nobody can take it from you. Now, what I look at is adversity has always been my companion, but I've used it as a tool. I wrote this down, as a character builder. You talk about as nice as I try to be with families, I support people, I do all these things. And I have people who will call me for prices and go right to my competitors with my price and stay with them. I have people who ask me for patron ads and won't bring no one of their families to my funeral home. I have people who will tell me, oh, I love your work, I love you. I have people who actually are in the church world who tell me how good I am, but when they die, it's in written stone. Their families tell me, oh, my pastor, they want to go over here. And so I'm excited today to encourage anyone, whenever you feel that there's dirt in your face, there's wind pushing you the other way, what you do is take that dirt and put the seed in it, take that wind and blow off the debris from the dirt and let God water you real good. Because I'm telling you something, Allen R. Core Funeral Home is established, it's grounded, and no matter what people don't want to do for me, every time they kick me, I go right to the goal. And God has blessed us tremendously. As of today, I have been blessed to say I've been open for 5 years. There's been some hard times, but every time I had to pay a bill, it was paid. Every time I had to go somewhere, we made the grade. And so I'm grateful for my upbringing. I didn't like it at first. I was trying to figure out why doesn't, and I mean, it's funny. I got more business from outside of the Pentecostal church than I did with the church I was raised in. That's amazing. And what's hurting sometimes is it's the same people who you pushed and who you support will turn their, if I had to eat bread, if it was up to them, I'd be hungry today. But thank be unto God. He keeps on giving me the victory.
It's amazing.
That's awesome. Go ahead, Carver. You got it.
So as far as biggest obstacle, I'm gonna be honest here. My biggest obstacle was myself. In this scenario of me being a realtor and going full-time in this business, I was my own enemy. I had a full-time job. I was in collections doing really, really well. And I didn't want to step out and do this full-time. Similar to what Will said, this is something I had to pray about because I asked my pastor, I said, hey, I'm thinking about quitting my job. And he's like, hey, did you talk to the Lord about that one? Because that's like, he didn't say, did he say quit tomorrow? Did he say quit next week? Or are you just saying just up and just quit? So you give it some time and pray. Again, he answered me and he told me to quit my job. And the thing is, the Lord answers you and you act like you didn't hear the answer. And you wait and you just let me pray again. Let me see if this is what he really wants me to do. And sure enough, clear as day, my mom called me probably a week later. Didn't tell nobody I was praying about this. She said, hey, Lord just told me you need to quit your job. I don't know what's going on, but just quit your job. So at that point, I knew after that, the obstacle was me. That Sunday, after quitting, I quit on March 31st of 2021. That Sunday, I had a lady come to me in church. Was like, the Lord told me to tell you to sell my house. And that was just from the 31st to that April the 4th, whatever that Sunday was. Lady walked up to me in church, just was like, hey, I need you to sell my house. And so I knew that I was the preventing me from getting to the next level. I was the problem. So if I was let go and let God do what he said he was going to do, take care of me, it went well. And I haven't had any real obstacles since then. I mean, we don't get any deals when it comes to houses. We keep pressing and deals falling through. That's the normal part of the business. Like, that's not something that I call an obstacle. It's just part of the business. But other than that, everything, like you said, it's been provided. Money's coming in. I'm able to get investors to help with new projects. Everything has been moving in the direction that it needs to move in after I got out the way. So other than that, I've been full-time in real estate since March of 2020. I've been in it for 5 years. So I've been in 2017 is when I started, but the biggest obstacle in this whole entire time was me. And I'm out the way. So I'm doing what I love.
That's awesome. That's great. And there's Pastor Corey, you mentioned something when you talked about adversity, and when you have to deal with different types of adversity from whatever direction they come from. Whether it's family, whether it's friends and community, you gonna have adversity.
So,
and one of the things that I really want to hear from you all, because I know for myself, this was something I struggled with, that it took me a while to really get past it. And that was accepting the fact that friends and family are probably just not going to support you. And that was a hard pill, for me to swallow, being a business owner myself. And when you're trying to build a legacy, when you're building it one for family, of course, and then of course, the friends that are close to you, they're in a position they can get some of the overflow because they're connected to you. And so while you're trying to build a legacy and you see that the people who are closest to you, or even the people who are in your family, immediate family, extended family, that they just don't get on board with you. I really wanted to know from you all, how did you handle having to swallow that pill initially? And then how did you get to the point where you just got over it and you said, you know what, it is what it is. So I want to hear about that, because sometimes that in itself, that adversity in itself, sometimes some people don't get over it. They just can't get over it. They just can't get past it, because they can't understand how the people that you love and say that you love, and they say they love you, and you see me building, but you won't bring me a water. You won't ask me if I need something. You won't even say, hey, can I give you a hammer? You need me to hold this ladder for you. They just kind of watch and just keep going. So I wanted to ask, being business owners, all of you are, how was that initial, how did you deal with that pill initial? Because it's a personal one. So how did you initially deal with that? So anyone can chime in and go first. Whoever wants to go first.
I think this is a setup, because right now I'm dealing with that same hardcore issue. It's a hurtful thing to raise up and want your family to be with you, and find that for whatever reason, they just don't have that same energy, that same impact. They're with you for the give out, but they're not in for the hardcore.
The trenches.
At this point now in my life and business, I just said the end of May, the beginning of June, I'm actually sitting down now writing some things, and I'm writing letters to myself of separation. I think the worst thing we can do is keep holding on to people who just are toxic for your emotions, toxic for your vision, toxic for your upkeep. And I'm at the point where I have already resigned to not give out any more to anyone who doesn't give in to the vision I've got. Because what happens is I'm the only one that becomes wrathful, becomes upset, because they live to receive from me, but they don't live to help me receive. And so the scripture that comes to my mind, evil communication corrupts good manners. And so I'm right now where I've already outsourced privately. I can't speak too boldly because it's on Facebook and I don't want them to know ahead of time what I'm doing. But privately, I'm outsourcing. I'm meeting with the right people at this point to help negotiate my mind, to help me come back and reboot and refabric myself, because my best self is me. And one thing I had to get over was I had to stop making in my mind my family or my close friends, they really love me. They're gonna help me out. I had to resign to the fact that's not gonna happen. So once I came to that reality, that's not gonna happen. Now when I get up, I breathe better. As a matter of fact, I went out and just went and got a brand new car. I'm about to do some other things for the business and for me, because now it's me. I've been out here. I don't have to. I gotta beg anybody to feed me, to clothe me, to protect me. And so now I'm at the point that from top to bottom, I've isolated who's the best person in family or friend that really is helping me. Cut away those that are really not. Use them where I need them best, which is a helping hand when I need you, not when they want to be around. And I specifically say when I need you, because then if I do it that way, I am more healthier. And so I am dealing with it in the regard I'm rebooting. I'm cutting the loss. I'm not becoming apathetic about it. As a matter of fact, I'm having a joy party pretty soon. I'm having a party of cutting the tie, because you can't even do your greatest performance when you are hindered within I call it implosion, when it's an inside blow up, not an outside. And so I've resorted, the same people that I tried not to use a lot of, who are always there for me, I'm using them now. It's the friends that really want to do things. They don't want to really get a lot of pay for it. They just want to make me successful. Those are the ones I'm sewing into now. It's the people who call me and go through the midnight oil, grinding with me and working with me, who wake up earlier than me, making sure that this is done and that is done, and they walk away. They're not looking for anything out of it. Those are the people that have been blessing me. So if I can help you with that, learn to just deal with the fact it's not going to happen with the people who you think. And it's okay, because that's probably the design that God had for your business anyway. Most successful business people, to tell you the truth, don't have many close family or friends on their real tier of leadership, their real tier of workmanship. It's the people who will be able to listen to you, who will have their own opinions about things, who will come open-hearted and open vision. And that's what I'm doing now. So it's a setup that the question came, because that's exactly where I am now. I'm not going to cry anymore about why don't this person help me? I'm doing all this for them. It's because that's all they're limited to do. Work with the people now who are outside your circle, who really want to invest in who you are.
Great. Anybody, whoever's going to go, Will or Carver, doesn't matter.
For me, there's layers to this. At first, it hurts. I mean, you just call it a spade a spade. It hurts that your flesh and blood is not going to be able to ride with you on something that you feel will change a family or your family's narrative. It hurts. But after understanding and seeing from a different perspective, I've even said to my customers, sometimes you have to be the example for people to change their mindset, for them to maybe jump up. I'm not saying that I'm looking for them to do that. I'm not doing this for you too, but if it allows you to come on board, cool. If it doesn't, it's fine also. But I understand that sometimes people have to see some things first before they're able to help with things. They have to see the finished product and be like, oh, I couldn't see the vision, but I see that this is going, and then are able to help. So for me, I don't look like Pastor Corsair, I don't look for the help, but I want to still be, I guess, I don't want to cut them off so they don't see the change, so they can eventually be like, you know what, I didn't see that at the beginning, but now I see what's going on. Can I be involved? So I've been able to just allow it to let it nurture and come on its own. They'll come around when they see it. it hurt at the beginning and you want them around, but I understand they need to see something before they're able to move forward and help. And I just take it to that. And again, I keep open doors. I'm not looking for them to help me, but the doors are still open. If you want to come back and help, I'm here. I'm not just going to cut them off for me, because I wanted to make sure that, I know you didn't understand, and here it is. It happened.
That's great. That's good stuff. Go ahead, Will.
I come from a very small family. My mom, my dad, my sister, that, Blair. Me being, my parents have been together since 73. They've been 48 years together, 45 years married. I never really had the support of my mom's side or my dad's side, and that's whatever. I don't really care. I mean, so I never really looked for the support, because what I had in these four corners was accountability. Now, I could say my number one advocate for me, of course, is my mom. My dad is right there too. I think that my mom literally was believing whatever I wanted to do, it was going to be possible. I think my dad is more of a person you have to show me a lot. You got to show me a lot. I think the real first big concert he came to was when I was 28. It was a Trout show, my CD release. And I think at that particular point, he was the first person to buy me a sax, because he saw that I liked the sax and I was getting into it. He bought me an Imperial Soprano from McCullen's on Franklin. It was a $200 saxophone. I wish I still had it to this day, but the thing is, I never really brought anybody in, because I know once you do come in, now I expect. So when, the Rod Bonners come in, the Daniel Powells come in, and anybody knows if you're in my band, my band is a family band. I don't change bands. People change bands all the time. I'm thankful to have the support from my unit and my brothers, for a long time, 12 years. Daniel been around since he was 12. He started playing with me when he was 15. So he's always been very supportive. I mean, there has been times that I've heard that even he said stuff about me, but he and I are on a pact now that we gonna talk to each other before we talk to anybody talk about either one of us. We come into each other first. That's like, I mean, me and Daniel are on a whole nother level now. We talk daily. I'm the person that normally calls people to check on people. People don't really call to check on me, and I don't really look for it either. I like to serve, So, like I said, I never really had an expectation for people to help, because, I mean, I hate to be redundant, but we go back to your first question. The people who I thought would be the most helpful was the church community, and they really weren't supportive of what I did, other than tough love from Ella E. Robinson and support from Chris Putman. Eric Johnson gave me an opportunity to play for New Christian. But even in that, those band members, they really didn't dig what I did. I got, and I started music at a point in my life where you're an adult now. We're talking about adult moves. We're not talking about and that's why I believe I knew it was for me, because God accelerated me in 2 years' time. I did things like, that's when I met Najee and Gerald Albright and Everett Harp. I would get in the car and just drive, man, and I would go solo. I wouldn't hang out with nobody. Nobody really they didn't want to do what I did. So, and I believe this. No one's gonna love your baby more than you. That's something that I remember going to these storefront churches over on William downtown. There's one guy, Bishop Montgomery. He has said to me, and it's a beautiful contrast because of what I'm doing right now. He said to me back then in 2000, me and Dale Tolliver were playing over there, and he was laughing. Yeah, let him go talk to you, Will. Let him go talk to you. So I went up, and Bishop Montgomery said, I see you in the studio, and every time you try to play or every time you try to get something done, something happens. He says, I'm gonna tell you something, and I see it. You may recreate the song. I don't know what you may do, but I believe God said, I'm going to go if I have to go by myself. And now, the past 3 years, Saxy Nights. I thought playing by myself with tracks was going to detour people from coming to see my live band and say, oh no, we're not going to pay $40 for a ticket because we see you all the time. But people are craving it more. They're craving it more. They want to see me with the band. They want to see me solely. And every time I play at so many different places. Salvatore's is a different vibe. Bent's Opera House in Medina is a different vibe. Jazz Willin's a different vibe. All these places I play at, you cannot become consumed with self or you will not work. The Rose, everywhere you play, you got to moderate your volume to this. You got to look at the room and see the type of people that are there. I can't play Usher when I have a room of Temptations, people that love Temptations and soul music. You don't, I become so, how you say, in tune with everybody else's desires and what they may need, where I use music as a medium of being a doctor and speaking life. So like I said, it's a beautiful contrast. But like I said, I never really expected anyone to say, hey, Will, let me help you. Hey, Will, let me help you. Because I was more like my dad and my mom. We go get it. We go get it. You know, we go get it. We work hard. We go get it because we're not expecting people. And when I did, I got let down plenty of times. Someone said to me, very famous guy, he says, if you ever need anything from me, Will, money-wise, even to print your records, hit me up. Okay, I come to you. I'm sorry, I ain't got it. Well, there you go. The one time I did do it, the one time I said I need $2,000 for disc makers for my second record, you know, and I came to him and he said, oh man, I ain't got it. I wish you would have let me know. I'm letting you know. It ain't gotta be right today, but I came to you. So, you know, and the biggest thing, man, the biggest thing is like, how do you say, never, just understand no one's gonna love your baby like you. That's it.
Yeah.
And as far as my media company goes, I work solo. Because I've worked with guys that they're not gonna like Blair said when he introduced me. I appreciate it, Blair. I go hard. I'll bust my butt. I've worked and shot for so many different people. Right now, the latest project is Bank on Buffalo, and it was such a professional experience. It makes me hunger more of those types of things. But I work solo because I don't like to rely on no one. They say, "Oh man, you got to get a crew. You got to get an audio guy." No, because he's not going to do it the way I want it, or he's going to give me a suck his teeth or a facial expression, or her. You know, oh, maybe you need to work with white people. It doesn't make a difference. People are people. To me, like, if I got to go to you, I got to have a heavy duty trust that you're going to deliver. And most of the time they don't. So I just work solo, man. And I have my expectation for people is very minimal. It's very minimal. And it's sad, but I know at the end of the day, when something goes wrong, I can point the fingers back at myself and say, you know what? I didn't do something. And that's it. That's it.
Man, that's awesome. All three of your perspectives on it, man, were so great and on point. And I tell you, because like you said, well, no one is gonna love your baby more than you. And no one should love your baby more than you, because if they do, that's a problem. If they love your baby more than you, that's a problem. And even what Pastor Core said and what Carver said is really, really great. Because it took me a while to get past that, you know, but once I got past it, I just understood that, you know, hey, it's just not gonna happen. Most of the time you're gonna build with complete strangers. Most of the time you're gonna end up having complete strangers that will come alongside, or that God will send alongside, and they'll be exactly the people you need to do what you need to do in the building and get it done. And so I want to go into this section here quickly before we close out, because I want to talk about legacy tonight, and I want to get each of your perspectives on what it means, because legacy means something different to everybody. Some people, to them, legacy is how much money they can accumulate. You know, with some, it's they care about how much, you know, material, how much property they can accumulate, and all this other stuff. And And then some people don't even care about legacy, period. They're about, I'm gonna live for me, and when I die, I'm gone. And the people who I leave behind, they got to go figure it out for themselves. So legacy means something different to everybody. So I just want to go around. I want to ask each guy, what does legacy really mean to you, and how? Well, let's just start with that. What does legacy really mean to you when you think about it? We'll start with Carver this time, and Pastor Core, and then we'll close with Will.
Like you said, it has multiple meanings. Money, for me, also impact. I know that with doing real estate, money will come. That's wonderful. But the impact of, again, changing a family's narrative. I worked with two grandmothers. Two grandmothers never owned a home. Like that. That's 67 years old, never owned a home. So to see that they're able to get them into a home, and then they are able to start changing that family's narrative, that impact is big. Like that right there is where sitting down with, like, I get my grandkids now, I'm gonna tell them how to do this. That impact on changing just that shift, and then helping their legacy, because big mama houses were always rented for them. That was their Thanksgiving, it was in a rental space, and now they have a home. So the impact is, hey, I was able to help change this family's idea of how to create ownership, see something different, and money will come. They say it's not your network, it's your network. That right there, networking with those older people, she's gonna tell her whole family, they all come now. Now the whole family is coming. Like, let's do the same thing that grandma just did, buy a home. So my goal is just to make a big impact, change some ideas, change the way of thinking. Don't have the same routine idea of, we can't do it, it's too hard, we don't want the responsibility. Just change some minds.
Awesome. Pastor Court?
Legacy to me means my brand. You mentioned earlier about, since you've known me, I've had a smile. I'm good at what I do. My legacy, I'm leaving with my children and even those connected to us, who will carry out the brand of funeral service, where it becomes even a ministry, not just business. I have so many people in the area and the vicinity who complain about they've been shafted, they haven't got the real good out of the experience. From start to finish, people who have dealt with me know my brand is your emotions. How are you emotionally? And what are you doing after the grief begins? What are you doing once you begin to heal in the grief? So my ministry, my funeral home, the brand, deals with your family has our sacred trust. So I do more than just sell caskets and correlate funeral arrangements. But my thing is, let's deal with the mind of that child who lost his parent, the mind of that wife or husband who lost their spouse, the mind of the grandchild, the mind of the community who has to deal with a loss of a homicide, of a massacre. So brand, Alan R. Core Funeral Home is my legacy. It's something that when you see that name for years to come, you will know that that's the funeral home. If you want a preacher, you got one. If you want music, you got it. If you want somebody that's going to hold you and hug you, you got it. You want somebody that's going to minister to your emotions, you got it. You want somebody that's going to help you even build your economic base even after the funeral, you got it. If you want somebody that gives you choice, you got it. So my legacy, I'm teaching my children, when I'm long gone, you're going to have to continue the ability to touch the emotions of the people, because 10,000 is better than 10 1,000s. And people look at that, that's a business measure. But mine, I flip it. I say 10 1,000s is better than 10,000. Because when you can reach people, when you can share with them, and they can feel that you're really with them in every part of their life. I have people walk up to me now who I've dealt with even beyond my time of being my own businessman. And they love the fact that I took the time, as busy as I am, to just make them feel like they're the only ones that I'm dealing with. So legacy for me is making sure that people are impressed, not with sensationalism, but with real hardcore love, compassion. And I have, even in my funeral home, and I'm blessed to have it, the only one in the whole West New York area, I have a prayer and meditation room. So when families get through with their funerals, they can still come back and reflect and meditate and pray. If they're in the funeral home with the body of the people, they can go to that room, segue, be peaceful. If hospitals can have chapels, then my funeral home could have a meditation room. So that's my legacy, my brand.
Like it.
Good stuff.
Well, legacy to me means, you know, I came to the realization of this. It was about a year and a half ago, and I know you're going to say, "Well, brother, it's never too late." But just hear when I say this. You all, I don't know, Carver. I don't think you don't have kids, do you?
She's on the way. July 28th. My first baby is on the way.
Oh man, God bless you.
Thank you.
God bless
Thank you.
you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations, Pop.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
so the realization that I came into a year and a half ago was the fact that it's not meant. I believe it's not meant for me to have kids, because if that was the case, I'm 42 years old. I'm not trying to make any, like big life changes right now, brother. Anyway, but all my clients are like kids to me. They come to me, I'm able to create, whether it be the girl with the lashes, whether it be Bank on Buffalo, whether it be Town Automotive Group, whether it be Mr. D. Wilson, whether it be any of these. I am basically being entrusted with the development of their babies. So it's everlasting to see through the years the changes in the building that I'm behind these particular brands, whether I'm launching a brand for someone or whether I'm coming like with Mr. D. Wilson, Dennis Wilson Jr., a brand that's already established. I was there many years ago where, so that to me is what legacy means. It's basically being a part of, Ben Vereen said something to me a long time ago, award-winning actor. He said to me, you want to be impactful to the entire strand. Now, I was like, wow, that's some deep stuff. So my whole thing is, whether it's the other side of Maine, as my phrase, white folks on the other side of Maine, or whether it be Black folks or Native American or Indian or whoever, anybody that I work with, number one, they're going to be a taste is going to be left of, this dude he really cares about what he does, and he goes all the way. And that's my legacy, that when I leave this planet, that my work will still be shown, whether it be in video, whether it be in photo. And in regards to music, there's been so many people that have came up to me, other musicians. I mean, I remember at a time in 2011 where I was basically done and I didn't want to play music anymore. And I see a guy comes up to me, Dalton Sharp, who's a very successful saxophonist around this town. They have their own band now, Jacob J and Dalton Sharp. He came up to me. He was done playing. He saw me on LimeWire. He says, bro, I saw you on LimeWire. You maybe want to play again. And it's been, so my whole thing is, when you're in your part where you're kind of going through it the most, and at that particular time, I was done. It was Walter Kemp, Andy Palladino, my brother, I call him my brother, and I don't use the word brother loosely, but Eldon Jones over in Portland and Martin Bloxon down at Virginia Beach. Those four people were like, bro, you got to keep going. You can't stop. And they all said it in their different way. So my whole thing was, I was being impactful to Dalton. When I was going through what I was going through, Dalton said, bro, you inspired me to play again. And this dude's out here killing it now. And so to me, and anytime anyone asks me to normally come play for a homegoing celebration or anything, like, it's an honor to serve. As I said earlier, when I first got on here, I have a servant's mentality. I'm living a life as a servant, and I love providing service to people. It's a joy. This is my legacy. This is my child. These are my children. So that's what I have to say. Legacy. It'll be gone. My music will still be being played. People will remember that time that I played for homegoing or their wedding, or I shot their wedding, or I shot their business, or helped them develop and cultivate into a masterpiece that some people, when they look at their product, when I'm done with it, it brings tears to their eyes. And that to me is everything. So that's the legacy I want to leave, that, I believe I will leave,
That's great. That's great. I want to throw this in as well because I was sitting in on a room on this platform called Clubhouse over the weekend. And the title of the conversation, I think, was what does your logo say about your brand? And so I kind of asked the question about, I put my logo up, and Will actually created it for me. So I'm glad you're sitting here, Will, because to hear what they said. And and they said a lot of good things about it. And then they said, now, can you pronounce the name for me? And I said, well, the name is actually a combination of my middle name and my mother's name. My mother is no longer with us. And I talked to him about how I shared the story with Will when we sat down to talk about the name. And he asked me a lot of questions about my mom and our relationship as he was trying to create. Because at that time I was ashamed. I was really ashamed of my middle name. I just never wanted to tell anybody.
Same.
I just didn't want to tell everybody. I didn't want to tell anybody.
Same.
And but the thing that pulled it together was, in talking about it, I remembered how much my mother loved the middle name, which is why she named me that. And because I wanted to keep her legacy, her name alive in a tangible way, I decided to mesh them together into my business name. Because my mother was a musician, she was an accomplished musician. She was a singer for so many years. And her and Ella Robinson were very good friends back in that time. And for me, every time I look at that business name, I think about her, and I think about who she was and what she imparted into me. And so I wanted to just really quick with you all, because again, I'm not sure, Carver, if your business name is your actual name, but I just want to throw it out because I know, William Charles, that's Will's name. And I actually never knew his middle name was Charles until he did the business. And then Pastor Core has Alan R. Core. And so I'm curious to know what motivated you guys to put your name on the business, whereas some people don't put their names on their businesses. They don't put their names on their corporation. And so people who actually use their name, I'm always wondering, like, wow, what made them use their own name? So I just want to throw that out there because I understand name is also part of legacy. It's a part of it. It's who you are. So I want to ask, what made you say, I'm going to put my name actually on this business?
I would say my conversation with my wife when we were looking at opening up our own funeral home, she says, baby, people love you and everybody asks about, no matter even where you worked at, they want to know, where's Alan Core, the funeral director, Alan Core? She said, your name is as big as the names that you're looking at.
Wow.
You can't put other people's names out there. They will lose you. So you need to use your name and be proud of the fact of who you are. Here of late, I had a family come to me and it brought tears to my eyes last week. This gentleman I hadn't seen in years. He came to a funeral that I had been over with the family. And he says, I want to let you know, even when you were with the one that my family always chose, we knew out of everyone in that building, you were the one that we should talk to. He said, and we know it caused you a lot of pain because that person became jealous of you because they knew that even though they hired you and they thought they hired you because they wanted to just do business with you and they would be good for their business, they didn't know the entirety of the community who loves you. And so because wherever I have been, whether it was Niagara Falls, whether it was Genesee Street, whether it was Jefferson Avenue, whether it was Glenwood Avenue, everybody knows Alan Core. And so I felt best, and I feel so proud to say I am, along with maybe one or two others in this city as a funeral home, operating, founded, excited about it. that I am, but I am the only one that's Alan Raynard Core. I'm excited that when people compare funeral homes, my name comes to the top. I'm excited that even in the white communities and other places like that, my name means a lot. So much so, I've been blessed to be on the board of Funeral Directors Association for the last, I'd say, 4 years. I'm the only African American longest seated on the Area Niagara Funeral Directors Board, and not just on the board, in a position to bring about change. None of the other named funeral homes has ever sat on the board. That's a plus for me. So setting records. And so I use my name because that's what sells, my name.
Awesome.
Good name, by the way.
Will or Carver, whoever wants to go. Either one of you guys can go.
Like you said, our name is our legacy. I mean, for me, as a real estate agent, I use just my regular business name for the real estate transactions. But for transitioning to investing, my business name is Jarman Strong Properties. So that name, again, when you gave the accolades you gave for me, integrity, I'm going to work hard. That name it goes from my dad, my parents, my grandparents. They've all been doing the same thing in any field they're in. They're going to work with integrity. They're going to do the best they can to help in any field. And that name is going to trickle down to my daughter. It's like, hey, this is what we do. Our name stands for this. And it doesn't have to just be, and that's why she can change it and do whatever she wants, but she'll know the name of a Jarman is something that's going to work, one, with integrity. We're going to make sure that we put the people first, or whatever we're looking to do. If you don't want to do house, that's fine. But if the business goes, you can make sure you stand with integrity. So I use my name also. I feel that you have to. If you're going to do a business, it has a good meaning and it can make money at the same time, do it. So I love it.
Awesome.
Yeah, and for me, I remember, again, Dale Tolliver. Dale was in my life various points in the beginning, and it was really for the good. He told me, he said, nephew, or he called me Will Wilski. So you're trying to be the nice guy. You're trying to be the nice guy. You know, you're naming your band Consecrated. You name your band Will Holton Project, Will Holton and Friends. He said, name that, and he cussed, Will Holton, because people are going to change, I guarantee you, but you will be here. So don't name it Will Holton and Friends, Will Holton Project, Will Holton Experience. Just name it Will Holton. And then for William Charles, you know, originally, as you know, Blair, was called Brand Builders. And, you know, I love the Brand Builders. And then one day I just woke up and I said, you know what? It's me. It's only me. So why do I make it sound like it's a plethora of people that work for me, but it's only me? So, you know, I'm doing the drone work. I'm doing the photo shooting. I'm doing the video and video editing. I'm doing the graphics. You know, it's just me, you know, and then if I feel like a job is too much, and I pass it up to my best friend, Nashara Swift McKellar, or I pass it up to the homie D Wilson, King of Spade Graphics, you know, but you know, William Charles is my name. You know, I mean, so many people have said the name is regal. So many people have said it sounds just really astute. And I said, yeah, that's my name, William Charles. But there was a construction firm since like 1920 or 1910 named William Charles with Charles. So I said, okay, Charles. And I got WilliamCharles.com, William Charles, period. You know, it's not trademarked. That's a whole nother level. But I mean, you know, it's only me. I mean, you know, it's God giving me these visions, and I'm able to execute them. You know, my mentor, Herb L. Bellamy Jr., he says, "Where there's a will, there's a way." And then he'll always say, "Will, you have the vision, and you have the execution."
My big brother.
It's normally just me. Yeah, absolutely. Here it is. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome to hear, because you know everything's in it. You know, everything's in a name. And I tell you again, having that if I hadn't had that conversation with Will when we were making my logo, I don't think I would have been comfortable like I am now or proud of my whole name.
What is your whole name, sir?
My whole name is Blair Channing Troublefield. That's my whole name.
Awesome.
And having that conversation with him on his couch, and we talked for a while, and he asked me those questions, and I finally said, you know what? If my mother loved this name the way she did, and it meant something to her, then it's got to mean something to me because it's who I am. I can't run away from who I am and everything that it stands for. Because I read somewhere where it says a good name is rather to be desired, or something to that effect.
Great, Rich.
Yes, sir. So keeping, or as my father would say, always keep your name clean. Always keep it clean. So that your name is always respected and it's always thought of with the highest and thoughts and compliments, and people can trust when they see your name on something, they know what to expect. Because at the day, as I think it was, as Carver said, as Pastor Core said, is that, you know, the money will follow, especially when your name is good. Then you do the things you need to do. It'll follow you. Favor will follow you, literally follow you. And so to
and
close,
I think also, I think one thing I think that not all of us here are not at that. Like I said earlier, we're so familiar, and we're so just this is what we do. I think the four of us are really always fine tuning this thing sincerely. Where other people, they say they are, but they're content where they are because they're living large or whatever. My quote is, there's two types of people in this world: those who are chasing success and those who are living their dreams. That, I look at us like we're living it, but we're always fine tuning it. I'm telling you, whether it be in the music, whether it be in real estate, whether it be in afterlife services or ministry, is never to be taken as like familiar. We're always fine tuning within ourselves. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what separates us from many. And that's why we are peculiar. That's why we are who we are. You know what I'm saying? That's it.
Absolutely.
Well, you me another.
Ahead.
I like what he just said. I wrote that down, so I'm going to chase after that. Alan R. Core Afterlife Services.
Yeah, that was all right. So really quick as we close out, this has been awesome, man. This has been
really
great having you guys share and say what you said. And so lastly, I want to just give you all to have a quick final word, and I want you to just talk to everyone out there, of course, but particularly the men, because we're highlighting and focusing men tonight. And so I want each of you to just say something to the men who will be listening or who will see this replay, who may be struggling with, building, their legacy, or they just may be struggling at staying in this fight in the trenches, trying to get it done and do it for their families. And they might be feeling like they're not doing enough. They may feel like not enough is happening, or they feel like, man, I'm working hard every day, but I just don't see the results that I want to see. And so if we can just encourage them, I want to encourage the men, but it probably can apply to everybody, to be honest, in whatever you may be doing. But I just want you to give something encouraging from your heart that will kind of lift them and encourage them that, hey, just keep working. Don't stop working. Keep at it. Stay at it. Even though you may be at a low spot, you may be at a discouraging place. I just want to go ahead and everybody just give them whatever's in your heart to say as we close out. And we'll start with Pastor Core and just go right on around. We'll close out with Carver.
One of the things that comes to my mind, as a kid, I was taught, I believe it's Corinthians 5:7, for we walk by faith and not by sight. I want to encourage every young man, every old man, keep having vision, keep having dreams. It's never too late to chase after what you really feel impassioned to do. Don't let anything hinder you or impede you. You don't need a lot of money. You don't even need a lot of action. What you need is commitment, fortitude, compassion, and the ability to get up every day and accept every day as a new time to expand what you really feel you can do. I want to share with you my personal testimony. There's a lot of times you wake up and you don't even know where you are, but hold on to what you believe in yourself. Learn to look in the mirror every day and find something new. I believe Will said it best. Chase after what really is your drive and don't become complacent with a one-time victory. Look for new victories, look for new gains, and surround yourself with real friends who will both tell you the truth about your negative and encourage you the truth about your positive. And I believe you'll be real successful in this journey. Keep it heartly, keep it heartful, and know that there is nothing you can do when your mind's made up just to start walking by faith and not by sight.
Awesome.
Yeah, I would say, you know, you have one life, and I would say live it to the best, because 2020 was very tough. Many people were lost. 2021 was a little bit better. In 2022, there's all new obstacles, but my youth empowerment campaign is called Reach Out and Lift Up. And it talks about, like Pastor Core. It's so funny you said it. In my credo is taking the little successes along the way because they add up to the big success, and not wanting one big thing, but this is a life. And while you're here, try to be as impactful as you can positively. Also understand that you're not going to always have the support, and you can't always share your visions with everyone because people like to taint your visions. But rather than focus on the negative, just think before you do that. Think before you speak your visions to people. Think before you think posting them on Facebook, your feelings. Let's not be so emotional in a world that wants the instant gratification of sometimes you feeling like you're at your worst.
Mm-hmm.
They like to get instantly gratified when you are in your downtime, you're in your down moment. So like I said, don't chase. I say living your dream is ultimate, and there's steps to it. We have to just be thankful for what we have. We have to be um, sharing and giving, but also we got to know when to say no, and being honest and being real. I think that's one of the things that we as human beings, let alone children of God, we sometimes are afraid to say a no word, that two-letter word, and no can be a positive thing for
Mm-hmm.
yourself, because maybe you're not really fit to handle what they're asking you to do, whatever the case may be. Or maybe you can't do it in your means because it's just not meant. So I would just say, just be impactful as you can, and just be, and I always say, be light. Be light, man. Like I've changed over the past, since 2015, man. I've changed in a way of a positive way. And I'm just being light, man. Every day I'm just taking every day like, man, this is a joy to be here, like and I know everything else is gonna be smooth. Just be light. Just be light. Just be light. That's all I have to say, you know.
Awesome.
Yeah. Like Will was saying, be comfortable with delayed gratification. Patience and persistence is the biggest things that we got to work on and for our goals. I understand that we want to see stuff happen overnight. Constantly work at it. Be patient. Little changes. Steady rain fills the barrel. So little changes. Little changes are good. And I mean, again, I'm available. sometimes men just need to bounce ideas off another man. It doesn't even have to be we're in the same field. Just talk to another man about something. I'm available. Just, hey, iron sharpens iron. That's what they say. So give me a call or inbox me. Just, hey, what do you think about this? I'm just talking to somebody also make a big difference just to get it off your chest. So my last thing is patience and persistence. Stay focused on it. It'll work.
Awesome. Real quick, if each of you can, in the chat, if you have your contact information for your business or services, so people can actually reach out and solicit you and get your services. If you can go ahead and just throw it in the chat on Facebook, on the live, because I know people can reach you through your social media, of course. But if you have an email, if you have a business line, or a way that people can contact, because I'm encouraging everybody who's watched the live tonight that you've heard from three awesome men. First of all, you've heard from three awesome men, and they're business owners, and they offer services to help you. Will can help you with branding your business, website, all that kind of stuff. He's phenomenal at it. Of course, Pastor Core with funeral home, and Carver, of course, in terms of real estate, owning a home. And so we want you to support and solicit and use these guys and use their business, their knowledge, so that they can help you, and pay them for their services. Now, y'all pay them for their services. Pay them what you owe them, what you agree to, because see, and don't look for a hookup, and don't look for the hookup. Pay them what they're supposed to receive for the service they render. And I think that's something we have to get better at, because these guys offer you top tier service. They offer you top tier service. And so let's support them, and let's make sure that we solicit them, as they're going to put their information in the chat on Facebook. And of course, you can reach them on their social media pages, Facebook, Instagram, and whatever platforms they're on. But let's make sure we reach out and get their service and solicit them. And in closing out, I just wanted to say this, as I just heard it while we were talking. And this is for any man that's listening tonight, any woman. This is kind of really applicable to everybody. Your only real opponent in life is you. Can you be a better you today than you were yesterday? Because if you understand that you're only in competition with yourself, then it makes it easier for you to really block out all of the noise happening around you.
That's good stuff. Good stuff.
Okay. If you're fighting and you don't have somebody in front of you fighting you, then that's not a fight. You look crazy. You look crazy. And so if you understand that the only real opponent you have is you. And I came to that realization I can't remember what album it was, but one of Kirk Franklin's albums is actually called The Fight of My Life. And in the video of the song, he was in a boxing ring where he had on white trunks, and across the ring was his other self in red trunks. And the thing he said was, I'm fighting against the best of me is always fighting against the worst of me, because I'm always trying to be better than I was every day, because my real opponent is myself. So if you are, if anything, be encouraged to know that you can be better today than you were yesterday. There is greater in you that you haven't tapped into yet. There's ideas in you that are sitting there literally waiting for you to tap into it. It's waiting for you to open it up, because the best of you And the best of all of us, we haven't even seen it yet. I don't know what the best me looks like. Will doesn't know what the best him looks like. Carver doesn't know what the best Lim looks like. Pastor Core doesn't know what the best of him looks like because we haven't seen it yet. And the reason I haven't seen it yet is because tomorrow hasn't come yet.
Right.
Mm.
Right.
So
Yeah.
be the best you that you possibly can be every day. And if you work to make yourself better, and if you work to fine-tune yourself, and it'll trickle down into your business, it'll trickle down into your career, it'll trickle down into ministry, into anything that you're doing, because you're always trying to be your best self. So there is no so I'm not in competition with Will.
That's right.
I'm not in competition with Carver. I'm not in competition with Pastor Core. I'm in competition with me.
Oh, yeah. To that own self be true.
To that own self be true. So don't worry about who's not supporting you. Don't worry about who's criticizing you. Don't worry about who's got something to say from the shadows. Okay, the people that talk that ain't gonna never come talk to you. They gonna talk to everybody else about you, but they gonna never come talk to you. Don't worry about those people, because those are not the people you in competition with. Those are not the people that you are. Them not even the people that you're trying to impress. The only people that need to be impressed and pleased with who you are is you and the God we serve. That's it. Nobody else really matters. If God is pleased with who I am, and I'm pleased with what I've seen, and I still have a desire for more, that's all that matters. And so with that, this has been an awesome conversation tonight. I'm truly grateful for Pastor Core and Will and Carver for accepting to be on tonight and sharing some of your stories, which were, I know they were impactful to me, and I'm sure they were impactful to the people who were watching. And this has been just an absolute wonderful night. And you guys have been great. Thank you to everyone who has tuned in and who has been jumping in on Facebook and also on YouTube. Appreciate all of you, because you guys, and there's some regulars I always see get on the broadcast, and you guys always support me and hang out with me on the last Monday of every month. And you've been with me since I started in 2020. Started during the pandemic and have been doing it ever since. And I'm grateful to all of you guys who supported me and hung out with me and stayed with me. And so I want to let you know that we will be back in the month of July. We'll be having more dialogue, more conversation on something different. And, you know, as we know at the Locker Room, we kind of never know how the conversation is going to go. We just know we're going to talk about it, and we're going to go through it and see what happens. So make sure that you're watching your social media pages, you know, for the flyer to come out. You'll see who our guests will be and what we'll be talking about, and we'll be having more impactful, insightful conversation like this. And so with that, we're going to close out for tonight. So gentlemen, don't go anywhere just yet. Hang out still in Zoom. We're just going to close out on Facebook. So Facebook, we love you. We appreciate all of you for what you've done. We're looking forward to seeing you in the month of July. So everyone have an awesome night and have an even more awesome week. Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Good night. Good night.
Good night. Yeah.